Taken the place, Hollywood Boulevard, that is like our Main Street USA, and we've peopled it with the citizens of Hollywood of the 40s, post-war era. And these are characters that live and breathe and react as though they're just a part of that place. So it's more than just guests coming into a really interestingly designed space. We now have the living, breathing citizens of that place for them to interact with.
A cast of eccentric residents on Hollywood Boulevard, along with their cartoonish surroundings, lets you know, even without consulting your theme park map, that you have just stepped into another place in time. According to the Disney imagination, it's the golden era of Hollywood, and you're part of the action.
Everyone should have one of those hats. Absolutely a lovely line to open a book with.
We've got a starlet who's going to ask a guest to improvise a scene for an audition that she has later. With Sid Cahuenga, whose house is still on Hollywood Boulevard. And Sid Cahuenga has Cahuenga's one-of-a-kind shop, and he sells not so much the memorabilia, though he does sell that scripts and costumes and props and stuff from the movies, but there's a story with each one of those, and Sid knows all those stories.
How are you? You like the movies? We got a lot of movie stuff in here.
Here at the new Disney MGM
Darling, when did you get back to Hollywood? You're looking wonderful. So you're going to call Melrose, right? So, tell me something. Can I interject one word here?
Sure.
Talent, talent, talent. Darling, you're looking wonderful. Love your hair that length.
You.
Don't change. You're beautiful.
Hey, well, you never know who you'll meet here on Hollywood Boulevard. Maybe I'll be a star.
We've really tried to recreate, I think, the glamour and excitement of Hollywood, and actually what we've probably done is we've created a Hollywood that never existed. It's better than probably Hollywood was. It certainly is better than a lot of Hollywood is now. But it's to fulfill our image of what Hollywood in its golden age, whenever you want to select that period, was.
Art Deco and California crazy structures on Hollywood Boulevard are a humorous testament to the times, but their design and development was no laughing matter. A tremendous amount of thought was at the foundation of every zany building.
Certainly, if the Disney company wanted to build a dinosaur that looked realistic, we could do so. But again, the feeling, you have to capture the feeling for 1940s Hollywood, and I think that's going to work very well.
The Brown Derby is probably the most famous restaurant in Hollywood and is really tied to the glamour period of Hollywood. So there we went back to the source and created in detail the Brown Derby from Hollywood and Vine. And it will have the caricatures of the stars and a lot of the props and light fixtures and things that are part of the original restaurant. Then other restaurants, like behind me, the Prime Time Cafe, we invented that concept. What we wanted to do there was pay homage to classic situation comedies from the 50s. And so what we've created are a series of 1950s kitchens that you eat in, and all the waitresses will be dressed like moms from those shows. And throughout the restaurant, we have TV monitors where you'll be able to see clips from a lot of those classic shows.
It takes attention to all the little ingredients, all the little things, and the props and the pieces that form the entire form that you're looking at. And without attention to those details, without maybe being able to point your finger at it, you will know that something isn't quite right.
According to Bob Jolly, the Chinese Theater on Hollywood Boulevard is the ultimate example of such meticulous attention.
I can't think of hardly any structure that has more detail to it.
Because it was destined to be the focal point of the Disney MGM Studios, as well as being an authentic piece of California history, there was never a random thought involved in the creation of the Chinese Theater. The Disney Imagineers devoted weeks and months to study and research of the existing California building in hopes of recreating it exactly in its original form.
We feel it even looks better today than the original one in California. It's brand new. The original one has lost some of its detail due to age and weather and other conditions, and we have it back in its heyday and its glory.
You know what I think you've done is captured the dream of Hollywood. people are going to have who come and see the entertainment we're making. It's all kind of a package of Disney entertainment, which is basically what we're about.
One of the most entertaining of all Disney MGM Studios theme park attractions is the Great Movie Ride inside the Chinese Theater. It was the first idea that surfaced from the original concept team to take guests through the most golden moments in film history and actually put them in the middle of the scenes. Of course, the first obstacle was deciding which of all the moments are most golden.
We would get locked in a conference room and we would hammer on lists of literally hundreds of films. You know, what are the great westerns? And we'd make a list of 50 great westerns with 100 stars that should be in those western movies. And then realize that you're trying to fit this into a 90,000 square foot building, which is a huge building, but you're going to try to fit all of western movies plus 6 or 7 other genres of movies.
Once the concept was hammered out, Disney audio animatronics experts were challenged to do their part in the creation of Disney's most ambitious ride-through attraction ever. The demand for sophistication had never been greater, because for the first time in history, audio animatronics players would star opposite live actors.
For all the audio animatronic figures, we held voice auditions at the studio in California. And hundreds of actors auditioned, and we narrowed it down to a few. And in some cases, for instance, with the Waynes and the Cagneys, representatives of their family listened to the tapes with us at our recommendation and approved or disapproved the voices.
I hightail it out of here. Go right ahead if that's what you're a mind to do.
It's a performance. You know, it's more than just a statue. I mean, he moves, he talks, and it was a little eerie for me, frankly.
Who killed my sister? Who killed the Witch of the East? Was it you?
Actually, the Wicked Witch of the West figure is the most advanced audio animatronic figure that Disney has done so far, and it really is amazing how quickly and how lifelike the movements are in the figure.
Could move much faster and stay more stable. It's a figure that has the most movement in the whole show. I think it has 17 body functions.
We debated a long time about horror and sort of the violent side of the movies, and we didn't want to leave that out, you know, so we sort of selected the most horrifying movie monster that we could think of.
Does the Great Movie Ride live up to expectations?
Kleenex is going to double its business on that. It is so nostalgic, it's so warm, and when you get to the Casablanca scene, I mean, no one's going to hold back.
When you combine phenomenal new technologies with traditional Disney and put guests on the stage, the outcome is amazing. For example, Superstar Television has members of the audience on the screen rubbing elbows with Lucy, tossing cream pies with the Three Stooges, fielding pitches with Sam Malone on the set of Cheers, and the entire 30-minute show leaves you wondering, how'd they do that?
What's nice about it is that the audience gets to become active, gets to step in front of the cameras. And this is like a rare opportunity for anybody. I mean, people work their whole lives to become actors and get up on stage and hear the cheers of the crowd. We're going to, you know, in 2 minutes, you're going to be up on stage and you're going to be a star.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What can we do for you, officer?
I'm Detective Mullins, and this is my partner, Bobby Hopkins.
What was your least favorite picture that you did, and then maybe after you did it, said, maybe I shouldn't have done it? Was there one?
No, as long as they pay me, I'm pretty happy.
The Monster Sound Show is an outstanding example of what the new Disney technology can do with audio. It has audience volunteers actually laying in the sound effects to a squeaking, creaking, crashing horror flick. And the outcome generally leaves the audience howling. Whoops.
You never really think about sound in a picture. It's something you kind of take for granted, and I think when they come to our show, they'll see that it's a lot of work. It's a tough job putting in sound, and if it's done right, you don't notice it. If it's not done right, it sticks out like a sore thumb. I don't know. I think people are basically hams, especially when they come to our park. They'll get a sense of audience participation in all of our shows. And they're shy at first, but once you pick them and you get them up on stage, it's amazing. They come to life. If they get it right, it doesn't work as well. When the door knocker goes off, and people miss it by a few seconds, it always gets a big laugh because it's just out of the ordinary. If people hit it and it's on the mark, you don't think anything of it. But they don't get it too often. But that's part of the fun of it. One picture's worth about 6,000 sounds in our show.
Sound plays a major role just about everywhere you go in the new Disney MGM Studios theme park. It's come a long way since Jimmy McDonald was doing the voice of Mickey and making up the effects as he went along.
Mickey would go down here and try to start his old car, and it would be... Then I'd take it away with half the trombone going... The damn thing would stop. Then he'd have to go again. And it would go on and on. But with that, we'd add the syrup picture. So after this, then this would be added. That was a little six-cylinder. All of this stuff going at the same time, making Mickey's car. No wonder Minnie didn't want him out and go out riding in that thing every Sunday.
Quite a stunt. Sound isn't the only wizardry that went into the making of the 2,000-seat Indiana Jones epic stunt spectacular. It took a team of 25 designers to come up with this one, and building it was a seemingly impossible feat in itself.
Well, it's like a stage play. It's like a play or some kind of, a regular show that's put on. I enjoy it. It's different, completely different from anything I've done before. I think we're going to make it a little bit more realistic and make it more so that you understand how stunts are done.
Well, it's really a stunt show that we're doing under a roof but outside. So all the sets have to be able to operate like a regular indoor theater set, but also be able to withstand hurricanes, rain, thunder, whatever. Yeah. And on top of that, we have a lot of very ambitious stunts with gas flames, big explosions, very violent physical crashes and things like that.
The variety of people that we need for this show, we need actors that could do stunts, and we needed stunt people that could act. We selected some people from the circus, and we selected people from the dance field. And put them into an extensive training program. I find it very exciting. I think our only problem is we don't have enough seats in the grandstand to take care of the people.
It took me back to childhood and made me remember how wonderful it is to have the freedom to live fantasy.
It's very subtle, is that the line is actually blurred between the tour and between the production. You're going to be so absorbed in this, you're going to be so entertained by it that you're not going to stop and say, this is tour and this is production.
From the top, it all looks like one big happy Mickey face. But the truth is, there are two sides to the Disney MGM Studios theme park. One is all fun and fantasy, shows, rides, and adventures. The other is the reality of movies in the making. By design, they are a perfect blend. That's not to say the backstage tour side of the theme park doesn't impart its share of fantasy and illusion. For after all, isn't that what great films are all about? A special effects tank show reveals that those storm-tossed boats on the big screen aren't all they're splashed up to be. And another demonstration of mechanical and optical wizardry has kids from the audience starring in a B-movie. Catastrophe Canyon on the backlot tour of the Disney MGM Studios theme park is an outrageous display of special effects. The Disney dreamers and doers did such a magnificent job on this one, it's hard to believe it's not meant to be believed. The rock work requirements for Catastrophe Canyon were unprecedented. Ultimately, the structure had to withstand the impact of 20,000 gallons of water in each canyon every 3 minutes.
That's taking about a few million years of geology time putting it together in 1 week. So we have a real consideration of how we put this thing together so that it'll last year after year.
Of course, Bob Jolly, the aging process specialist, had a final say on appearances. As usual, with an eye toward anticipated guest response. He recalled a similar project in the Magic Kingdom just a decade before.
We finished Big Thunder Mountain, and I listened to a little lady explaining to her husband that they had hauled all those big rocks out there from Arizona. And I didn't correct her.
Catastrophe Canyon is basically a collection of all the kinds of large-scale physical effects and special effects incorporated in filmmaking, used in filmmaking, brought together in this one thrill attraction on the backstage tour. We're 18 months, actually, from first concept through installation for what we have here today. But basically, this was a challenge for Michael Eisner to come up with, as I said before, the large-scale kinds of physical effects and bring a thrill attraction to the backstage tour. We overdid everything.
Great to see guests see this for the first time and recoil in fright. I think one of the interesting things about this is, and one of the thrilling aspects, is that we've reached that point where the guests actually are not quite sure whether we're in control or not. I think I'd like to hear them say, take two. You know, let's do it again.
We've been on these rides, which are literally incredible.
Actually, I grew up in New York, and our back lot looks more like New York than New York does.
Aside from being a popular part of the guest tour, New York City Street is an extraordinary television and movie set.
All of the Hollywood sets always ended in a building. You know, they were a T or something. So you never got a feeling or an extension or a vista of the city. So my idea there was to do a scenic perspective that would at least give one angle here that you had a feeling that there was a big city around this set.
You know how you can tell it's a studio, guys? High curb. Always you can tell it's a studio shot, high curb.
Actually, Gene is right, but he's not quite right. You can only tell it's a studio because the curves are lower than they would be in a real city. He has the right noun, but the wrong adjective, as usual.
Those curves are high.
Those curves are lower than they would be in a real city, Gene.
Well, there's where we disagree.
The fact of it is, this street is designed in such a way that it can easily be converted to a Chicago or Boston street, curbs and all, whatever the shooting script requires. However, a word of caution to producers. Keep the Disney cleanup crew informed.
When Bette was here shooting, just to tell you something about the Walt Disney Company, and she shot, which you'll see in a little while, you've seen already, The Lottery. We shot it on the New York street, and the night before Bette came out to shoot, they made the New York street look like a New York street really looks. They garbage, graffiti, a lot of stuff on the ground. They had it all dressed to look exactly the way it would look today in New York City. Went home, to go to bed, to get up early the next morning, 5 o'clock, to come in to shoot the film. When they got here the next morning, it was completely cleaned up. Walt Disney cleaning crew looked at the street and said, this is too dirty for Walt Disney World. Clean the entire thing up.
Here's another convertible street with recognizable houses from movies like Splash 2 and television shows like The Golden Girls. Actually, the backlot streets, the 3 Disney MGM Studios sound stages, and the post-production facilities were officially open for business in the summer of 1988. A ceremonious event which had guests all over the Walt Disney World Resort seeing Burt Reynolds and Lonnie Anderson drawing pictures over at the beach. The stars of Win, Lose, or Draw were seen on location all week long. Carol Burnett did a show. Siskel and Ebert. Everyone gave the new studios a big thumbs up, and the action's been rolling ever since.
So just raise your hands and let's get going.
There's no question about it. There's nothing that we can't produce here in a matter of hours. We have inside our own borders the ability to build almost anything, move almost anything, design almost anything,
And from our own nurseries to our own phone companies to our own extensive wardrobe shops that service the other theme parks and facilities down here, when you turn those to the support of movie and television production, it's unmatched anywhere in the world.
The world's largest working wardrobe, with over 2 million pieces, helps clothe the shows in production. And it's also a tailor-made part of the backstage studio tour. Guests are also invited to eavesdrop on shows in progress through glass-enclosed corridors. The stage studio complex is an art form in its own right, designed by Milt Foreman, one of the foremost specialists in the industry.
What we had to do was design a stage that could efficiently and easily service film production and television production without compromising the needs of either system. What it is the integration and culmination of all of the technology and creativity that was developed by studio people all over the world.
Breathtaking, and it's just fabulous.
And inside the animation building, guests of the Disney MGM Studios theme park can watch behind-the-scenes scenes of movies in the making. For the first time ever, animators are in animation for the world to see. Guests can watch how classic cartoon characters can spring to life from nothing but a blank sheet of paper.
Well, I think we have a building here that's absolutely unique in the world in terms of the notion that on one side of a glass wall is a real, honest-to-Pete animation studio which is making movies as you walk through. On the other side, the guests are brought in through an art gallery of some of the artwork that going clear back to Snow White and Fantasia. And then they go through an 8-minute film with Walter Cronkite and Robin Williams, who, in a very entertaining way, give you an idea of the process of animation. Then you come out into this very large space in which you will see animators and special effects people and cleanup people and background painters and inkers and painters and camera people all at work. Quite literally, they will be making a film in front of your eyes.
We're going back into the featurette business, which we have been out of for more than 10 years, and they're going to feature Mickey and the primary Disney characters. And so we're very excited about that. And
the very first thing we're doing down here is a brand new Roger Rabbit cartoon, which will be 6 minutes and will be theatrical. The next one after that is very likely to be a half-an-hour show with Mickey and Donald and Goofy and all the traditional characters, which haven't been animated in new material for about 20 years.
I mean, you have all these artists who dedicate long years of their lives. It takes, as I said, much longer to do an animated film than a live-action film. They dedicate big chunks of their lives to get these things done, to make the characters come alive. And there's that warm feeling, as I say, that sticks with an audience after they've seen one of those classic films, and that it's basically an emotional venture, animation. So when I came on board, we talked about that, and I really felt that responsibility that we are representing the Disney magic here, and that's basically an emotional thing. It's not impressing people with technique. It's having them feel something when they walk out of the theater.
You have to breathe the life into it. I think it's got to come out of the heart more than anything else. It's got to come from the heart, through your arm, into your hand, and onto the paper.
What you're doing is just a drawing, a cartoon on the screen that you're trying to get people to cry and laugh and believe.
I don't think you can mechanically work it out. You've got to feel it to make it really come across and magically be alive up there.
And there was this bear fight sequence, and I really wanted to express the feeling of what that is like, to be in the middle of this bear fight. And I had never, of course, been attacked by a bear before, so how you going to know that? Well, my first thing I did was go to the library and checked out books on bear attacks and reading on that and go, whoa, this is horrible. Oh, the bear just ripped this guy's scalp right off, huh? Oh, I better draw the bear bigger. So I'd draw him bigger and meaner, and then I'd read some more stories and go, oh, I gotta draw him bigger. So there's no space left on the page except just all bear. And I started doing that, and I tried to capture that feeling. It was great because I felt like I was animating something I'd experienced. important for an animator is you've got to make the experiences real to yourself and then put it on the paper.
The audience is so taken in by what they see, they don't think of it as a drawing anymore.
That was the big thing to me, making the audience get involved in this and caring about what was happening to the characters.
And I remember that night, the premiere of Snow White at the old Carthay Circle, the laughs just came in a steady stream. But when Snow White bites that poison apple, to see those dwarfs come up and take off their hats and get down on their knees and then back away, everybody in that theater was crying. I heard the sobs. I couldn't believe it. It's supposed to be just a cartoon. Everybody's crying.
It's really a neat feeling to see the audience really feel for your character up on the screen.
It's really creating characters that you can believe in and you can, you know, laugh with and cry for and love.
That's what Disney's best animation is all about.
So we think it's fitting that on this day, we proudly dedicate the magic of Disney animation and declare it officially open.
And of course, what would the future of animation be without Mickey Mouse? Where is Mickey? Oh, there he is, starring in the Walt Disney Theater, which is the final stop on the Backstage Studio tour.
Oh, hi, everybody!
It's not the final stop for the Disney organization and their plans for the future. There is always more to come.
It's already on the drawing boards, you know, is a whole expansion plan, and it is clearly a good business unto itself. And so I hope that we will continue to expand the facilities and add additional stages and really have it work as a facility beyond what it can service for our own needs.
We're already talking about phase 2 and expansion, and really looking forward to it because the guests keep coming, and I'll tell you, as long as they keep coming, we're going to be doing a lot of very exciting things and bringing a lot of dreams into reality. And I think the day we rest on our laurels, that's when we're in trouble, and I don't think we ever will. And as I always say, we're just getting started.
Well, first I'll use the famous Walt Disney line, which is kind of a cliche now, but I'll use it anyway, which is, he said Disneyland would never be finished. I guarantee that this place will never be finished. There are 100 ideas that are still on drawing boards that didn't get used here yet, not because they weren't good ideas, but because we didn't have time to do them.
My favorite's the animation. It's a lot of interesting stuff, and Robin Williams and Walter Cronkite are so great. But this is going to be a big hit.
The stars came out in grand style.
We're thrilled to have Bette Miller be here to dedicate this fabulous tour. Is a wonderful opportunity and thrill for the Walt Disney Company.
This studio tour that is being dedicated today is so complete that most everyone that goes through it will probably qualify for a guild card at the end of it. I'm very, very proud to have been associated with a company that provides such marvelous opportunity for so many artisans and so many artists to do their best level of work. And I would just want to say to all of them and to Michael and Jeffrey, thanks for the opportunity, and I wish them all greatest success with this most new and exciting adventure here at Walt Disney World. Let's dedicate!
On this 29th day of April 1989, we dedicate the Disney MGM Studios Backstage Tour. Lights, camera, action!
The 4-day premiere of the Disney MGM Studios theme park was spectacular. The Disney MGM Studios theme park dream has come true.
Hooray for Disney World, that crazy valley, hooray Disney World. Our movies are magic, our cameras are rolling, the stars, they're gonna be here. And any man or child can take the stage. It doesn't matter what your age, hooray for Disney World. And our Disney MGM Studios, where any one of you from near and far could be a star. Come on and have some fun. Disney World is #1. Hooray for Disney World. There's movie magic right in Disney World. They come from chili coffees and Paducahs to catch the excitement and get their name up in lights. Mommies and daddies, all the young kiddies, movie magic is such a wonderful sight. Hooray for Disney World. You'll see the greatest stars of yesterday. And if you think that you can be an actor, you'll be an actor. You won't have to wait. The Disney MGM Studios are gonna be great.
I guess this is the place to come to be discovered. It's nice to know there's a brand new theme park and a working movie studio right here in our backyard. The Disney MGM Studios theme park. It's a spectacular dream come true, right here in Florida.
Hooray for Disney World, that crazy valley, hooray Disney World. Our movies are magic, our cameras are rolling,